Right, it's time for business, and Sandra Fenu has joined me, and we're still having conversations. We're going to be telling you a lot more about the decision by the Securities and Exchange Commission to revoke the licenses of 53 fund management companies. And Sandra, so there are a number of frequently asked questions that has been put out by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I'll be taking the viewers. We'll be taking the viewers through them, but you can start off. And,
yes, we actually want to get some reactions from industry players and what they think, and we'll also be speaking to the Association of Aggrieved Customers of Gold Coast, because it's one of the biggest companies affected so far, and get a reaction from them. That's what we have in business. Hello, good evening. My name is Sandra S. and I'm here for business. As you may be aware, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has revoked licenses of 53 fund managers for various breaches of regulations, including failure to submit financial reports. The move, according to SEC, is to protect investors, maintain surveillance, and monitor solvency in the securities market. We want to go over to the phone to get some reaction from banking consultants and also a champion. Hello, Nana. Good evening, and thanks so much for your time.
Yeah.
Nana, can you hear me? Good evening. Thanks for your time.
To me, I thought you were somebody else.
Yes, or if you can hear me, let's go straight to action. And we knew this was actually coming up, but are you surprised at the numbers, especially Gold Coast Fund Management? Yes, we know they have liquidity issues, but did you see this coming?
Yes, I saw it coming, and I think every industry player saw it coming, because once the deposit-taking institutions had been resolved, the stone fell on the Securities and Exchange Commission companies. So I think we were expected. The number is also not too surprising, except that the big ones in there are the surprises, because they kept coming back to reassure the public that all was well, and that nobody should fear for their funds. So it's surprising that, all of a sudden they are in the list.
So which of them do you consider the big ones, apart from Gold Coast Fund Management?
Well, Ideal is one, which was big. Nordia was, and also Securities. I think Securities is on the same level as Gold Coast. Then there are the Legacy, the First Bank also. There was hardly any indication that it was so much under the cloud there. So those are the surprises.
All right, and interestingly, these things only come up on Fridays when everybody is wrapping up to go home. But again, I want to find out from you what the fate of existing companies are and what they should actually be doing to ensure their safety.
Well, the regulator has taken quite a long time in coming up with this list. And as the writer said, they have also engaged them. Some of them, people have sent petitions, and whenever they receive the petition, they will call in the fund managers, and then they will draw a plan. Okay, so I hold 2 or 3 million of Mr. A. I'm going to repay in tranches. And most of them have not kept. So I think this brings some finality to the issue. People now know how they are going to get their money or how they are not going to get their money. Because as a limited company, it now falls on the Companies House as the register of companies to petition for their liquidation. And then a liquidator can come in and get the good assets and settle people. Although those who put their monies in things like treasury bills and government bonds, there's a bit of security there. But in others, the security is not there. Now, for those that are existing, it's good news. It means that now there's a few. Unfortunately, I've forgotten the exact number of companies involved in that industry.
Right.
But those that are existing, it's good news for them, because it means that there is some certainty for investors as to the ones to deal with. But these happenings are not good for the industry at all in general.
Rightly said, but obviously not good for the industry at all. Job losses will be the bigger concern. But following today's action, will you say that we've actually learned some lessons from the banking sector cleanup exercise?
Oh, yes. The lessons have been learned from both the banking, deposit-taking institution sector, now SEC. We don't know. There are 4 groups in the financial service industry: the banking sector, the capital markets, which is SEC. Then we've got the insurance market and the pensions. The insurance market has also, the regulator has flanked its wing a little bit and said they have to recapitalize and get more capital. So in the end, we may see also some casualties there, because those who are not able to get the minimum capital, as happened in the banking industry, they have to be shown the exit door. And then by the pensions one, they don't have as many as they have in the other sectors. Now that the banks and deposit taking has resolved, the SEC is also resolving theirs, and insurance is the process of doing. I think sooner than later, the whole financial system will be better than it was before.
We can only hope so, Nana. Grateful for your time. We'll surely be revisiting this topic and we'll get your perspective on that. We also want to go over to the phone line to speak to the Secretary of Aggrieved Customers of Gold Coast Fund Management, who's in a person of Joseph Ayete. Thanks so much for your time, sir. If you can hear me, this must be heart-wrenching for you and your members.
Of course, this is heart-wrenching. Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers this evening. This news has actually taken a lot of we, the customers, by surprise. And it is rightly so, because as customers, we have made several efforts to engage the regulator and to engage government through various channels. We've had petitions upon petitions to the regulator over a year ago about this situation, because some way, somehow, as customers, we foresee something like that happening today. You see, my sister, the point is that we have submitted a petition to the government.
Exactly.
And it is not one, it is not twice. And the government has blatantly ignored us. Yes,
I was actually coming to that, because you had a press conference recently and not too long ago, and you were appealing actually to government to intervene. This is certainly not what you were expecting.
This is not what we were expecting. And remind you once again that in our press conference, we gave this indication. We saw this coming, okay? And we believe that this is a very, very lazy man's approach in trying to address matters like this. You are talking about a customer outlook which has pensioners who are over 70 years, some are almost 80 years. And when is this liquidation process going to start? And when are we going to get our money? That is a question we all need to ask ourselves.
Yeah, I want to quickly ask you, since you represent your members, do we know the numbers affected so far, and what is the next line of action for you and your members?
You see, we are talking about almost 800,000 customers nationwide. And the amount of money involved is over 5 billion Ghana cedis. It is over 5 billion Ghana cedis. Last time, Benjamin Affair was on your sister station, Joy FM, and they were saying that the amount involved was almost 3 billion. My sister, it is not 3 billion. You are talking about over 5 billion Ghana cedis. Okay? My point is that why has the government decided to ignore us as stakeholders? It is our money we are talking about at the end of the day. And I don't think if we went in to do business with a licensed institution, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission, we should lose our investment in this manner.
So I asked you about your next line of action. What are you going to do with the recent development?
We are convening an extraordinary emergency meeting over the weekend, and we're going to come up with our next line of action because we believe that this does not inure to the benefit of majority of our customers. We don't think this, if government intends to give us the full amount of our investment, we don't have any problem about that. They should give us the full amount of our investment. But if they are going to pay us that 20% they are contemplating, that will not work, my sister.
All right.
That is not going to work. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to leave it here. Joseph Aite is the Secretary of Aggrieved Customers of Gold Coast Fund Management. And certainly some frequently asked questions, Israel, and you'll be taking us through that, right?
SEC has issued a number of frequently asked questions on the revocation of the licenses of the fund managers by the SEC, and I'll take you through some of them. So the first one says, what has called for this exercise action by the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC? And the answer is the protection of investors and the integrity of the market are fundamental to the mandate given to the Commission by the Securities Industry Act. Efforts by the SEC to get directors of the affected firms to resolve regulatory breaches identified over the period have not yielded positive results. This exercise has become necessary to ensure that market operators with infractions and or complaints are removed from the industry to protect current and future investors. And then number two, how will this action impact the clients of the affected firms? Says most of the affected firms have either become dormant, that's 21 of them, for a long while without settling investors' claims against them, or are in distress and unable to pay their obligations to their clients. These firms have breached their contractual arrangements with investors who place funds with these fund managers for investment on their behalf, but have waited in vain for a very long time for the return of their funds, despite demands for same. This action by the Commission is therefore expected to provide some relief to the clients of these affected firms. And number four says, what happens to my funds investment with these institutions? And the answer is, it depends on the investment you have with these affected firms. Investments in listed companies, mutual funds, and Government of Ghana instruments will not be affected as they are typically held by third parties such as custodians and the Central Depository. Other investments will be sorted out through the realization of assets subject to the court appointing the Registrar General as the official liquidator. And there's also the question number 5. What is the process for making my claim to the liquidator? Now, this will be of interest to all you who have your investment with these affected companies. Investors will be required to present all claims at the designated locations to be communicated by the official liquidator following the outcome of the court process to be appointed as the official liquidator for validation and payment of government capped support in subsequent payment after realization of assets. Any other interim arrangements for the validation of claims will be communicated by the Commission to investors. And this other question, what is the estimated time for the completion of the validation process and payment? And the answer is the Registrar General will communicate a timetable to investors dependent on the outcome of the court process to be appointed as the official liquidator.
There's so many questions.
There are several other questions, and we'll be making these available on our website, myjoyonline.com, so our viewers
the numbers
can
involved
go.
And the amount involved is quite huge,
It's
and
quite
the
huge.
job losses. We always come back to this, and we can only hope for the best for those affected by this.
Certainly.
But that's how I end business tonight for the first part. I'll surely be back after 8 p.m. with more business news. My name is Sandra Esenam Apeno.